hate Zoom AI and I hate how it keeps asking me if I want to use it.
It's like absolutely not, never, ever.
I'm like, no, get the fuck off my screen. I just want a video. RIP Skype. Skype would never do this to us.
No, I miss Skype. I don't even know why we got rid of Skype. So
They just, yeah, they didn't like expand fast enough,
yeah, they got
I
overtaken.
guess, which was so foolish. They had like 20 years to be the
They were the
industry
only
leader,
one.
and
Yeah.
they really dropped the ball.
Well, who amongst us, I guess.
Who amongst us hasn't dropped the ball?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I'm the same.
Yeah, me too, Skype. We're on the same boat. Welcome, listener, to another episode of We Read It One Night. We are doing a fun, quick episode today where we are talking about. I'm joined by Caro again, all over the place. Caro's back, you remember from our Wuthering Heights episode, and we're talking about the romance novels that we've read so far this year that have made us want to stay up all night reading. So hopefully you're going to walk away from this with some great recommendations, because I don't know about you, but I feel like I have some real bangers on the
Yeah, me
list.
too. Kick us off.
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of my things are real basic insofar as they're like really popular.
Same, no, same.
Unfortunately, like popular things are popular for a reason. Okay, so the first one that I have is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez,
Hmm.
which was surprising to me because I did not particularly care for the first book in this series that she wrote. But and I also can't do like cheating is like real hard for me.
Yeah.
Like the only time where I've like successfully done it is Sarah McLean's Day of the Duchess, and even then like I it was because I had the separation of like 3 books before
Oh
I had
yeah.
to like forgive this man.
Fair.
But The Night We Met is like, I mean, there technically is like there's kind of emotional cheating, but like they technically don't cheat. So it's like two people meet, like she starts dating his best friend because his best friend's like more of an extrovert, which like relatable TM. And then her boyfriend slash his best friend is just like really flaky all the time. So he's always like stepping in to like do the stuff, the boyfriend stuff with her, and like they spend time together, and then like they're it's like soulmates. Like it's like very like clear first of all like that they're like meant to be. And then before anything happens, she does break up with the friend, and they do like try to avoid each other. But like the friend, I like especially liked it because like the boyfriend, like the original boyfriend, like is very clear that he has like mental health issues. Like from like he's like depressed, like he kind of like becomes reliant on like alcoholism. And like I feel like it handled it really, like it didn't villainize him. It was like, okay, you need help, but you're also like not ready. Like you're not a bad person, but you're not ready to be in a relationship or whatever. And it was also like she's like very working class. She's like really financially strapped. Like her dad has like stolen her credit card information like
Yeah.
many times. Classic. Whose dad hasn't stolen their social security number and opened a bunch of lines of credit? But it also has like one of my favorite tropes of like man has a lot of money and gives money to woman to help her dreams come true, which is what all men should be doing.
Yes, it's a donation at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a donation. It's like it's the wage gap.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Just he's just making a difference in the world.
but yeah, The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I like Abby Jimenez can be very hit or miss for me. I don't know how you feel about Abby.
I've only read one. My friend was in love with it. It was the one I forget the title. It's not that I disliked it. I think I liked
No.
it, but it wasn't like crazy. It was the one where she's a doctor and the guy is younger, and to her
Part of
that
your world.
part of your world. Yeah, I think I that sort of like woman is older, man is younger. Like I support it, but like there are people in my life who are close to me, like one person who's 15 years older than her boyfriend. Like they got together when he was
Mm.
like in his late 30s, so it's all fine. But in that
Hmm.
case, I think it's just kind of like I'm like I don't find it that shocking or controversial. I'm just kind of like
Yeah.
as long it's the same with any age gap where I'm like as long as you're all adults, like I don't see why it's a bit. I know how
Yeah.
society is, but I'm
Yeah.
not used to people who are like, oh no,
Yeah. That one is also like it's like 5 year, you know what I mean? Like it's that like he's in his late 20s and she's in her 30s. So like it's not, yeah.
it's negligible. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just like whatever. And so it was all right. I liked it. I think I was gonna ask, I really am a defender of cheating in romance. How do you feel about it when how do you feel about it though when it's like because I'm a big even though I'm very picky about them, I'm a big throuple romance person. How do you
Okay.
feel when it's sort of like love triangle becomes a throuple? Because no, everybody's into each other from the start, but they can't figure out how to say it, so it feels like they're sort of
Yeah.
cheating. How is that
Yeah.
for you?
I mean, like I'm, yeah, fine with again, it's like a case by case basis. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's not like a hard no. And like I used to love a love triangle, and now I'm kind of like, all right, let's get to the real couple. You
Oh
know what
yeah,
I mean? But if it becomes a throuple,
and you are with the real well,
like,
the triangle whole time. Yeah, yeah.
right.
I get you.
So yeah, it's like like something that I can think of is like Katie Roberts, Wicked Beauty. It's
Oh
the
yeah.
Achilles, Patroclus, and
I've heard great things.
Helen of Troy, I
Yeah,
think.
I think it is Helen. Yeah, I think
I
they
think it's
pulled
Helen.
Helen.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
her like Dark Olympus series,
yeah.
and they like Achilles and Patroclus are like together, and then like they meet Helen, and there's a little like individual stuff, and then they all kind of like
Come
join
together.
together, and I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big Sierra Simone's one of my top authors, and a
Yeah,
lot of her thruples begin with, I mean, probably most of them except I would say actually not a lot, maybe the main two. They begin with people being like, "Oh no, I'm like the worst because I love this person so much, but I'm also very intrigued by that person." And then of
yeah,
course in the end, their partner is like, "Great,
hell yeah,
this is yeah, this is wonderful for
hell
me."
yeah,
And I do think Sarah McLean does such a great. The Day of the Duchess is like a masterclass on how it should be done when the hero
yeah,
is the cheater, in my opinion. Like
yeah.
it's so good. But yeah, I was just curious, but I will definitely check that one out because I'm intrigued. I love a little.
It's yeah. Like they're definitely like in the romantasy terminology, like the soulmate thread is like activated while she's still dating his best friend. They just don't like do anything physical. And in their heads they're constantly like
I'm the worst.
this isn't anything. Like, no, I just think of him as a friend. Like, I just care because it's my boyfriend's, or my best
Or
friend's girlfriend or whatever. But like,
yeah.
they adopt a dog together, like the
What?
first 25%.
What? Are you kidding?
Accidentally. They
Okay.
find a stray dog and she's like, I want to keep it, but like, I don't have, like, she's like, I can't have it in my apartment because like she lives with her mom
Yeah.
and like it's just like too small. So he's like, I'll have the dog in my apartment and like we'll like share custody.
Should have led with that because that's the type of thing where I'm like, what you like if like I'm like if I was friends with her, I'd be like, this is really like you're doing an emotional affair. And like obviously in real life I don't love that, but in a book I'm like, yes. I
Yeah,
feel like
right.
emotional cheating's a little bit better because I'm like, oh, you can justify it, but it's actually kind of worse. You know what I mean?
No,
To like
it
fall in
like
love with somebody.
right. In real life, it's worse, but like
Yeah,
definitely I agree. Like in a book, I'm like, well, like you can't help who you're attracted to.
yeah.
Like it's normal to like be attracted to other people like while you're in a relationship. Like that doesn't mean that you like, being in a relationship doesn't mean you don't have eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To be
I
fair, like the boyfriend is like constantly because again, like I said, the boyfriend like struggles with mental health. So like there are many times when he like promises to do something for her or like makes plans to hang out with her and flakes and then
yeah.
like gets his friend is like he's like, can you give her a ride or like can you like do this? So like the boyfriend is like
He's setting himself up for failure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he's gonna have a book?
I think he's the next book.
Okay, well then yeah, that's great. I'll have
Yeah.
to check that out. I feel like I've only read one of hers and I'm always a little bit like
Yeah.
not skeptical, but you know when like an author's it's kind of like I'm the same way with Emily Henry where sometimes it's not that I think they're bad, but I'm just almost like it's so popular that I'm like, am I too weird for, am I like too much of
Yeah, like sometimes it's just not your cup of tea. Yeah, I really liked Part of Your World, not for like because I was like, oh, she's older, like it's an age gap, blah
yeah.
blah blah. I really like we did an episode on it. I liked it for like the like abusive relationship like survival aspect, like her whole like healing journey. And I was also like, I too would like to fall like if I was gonna fall in love with a man, I would like to fall in love with a man in a town where a mayor is the pig and he has a big house and like works with his head. Because I also personally, I don't know if you've ever encountered anyone who does do some sort of woodworking like
Oh yeah.
professionally,
Yes.
but they got great hands. Like, can confirm that is a romance like thing that is true in real life.
It feels like that would be correct. I like I've encountered not in a romantic light, but I have encountered a hot woodworker. And until they ruined him, I also loved furniture maker at large, Aiden from Sex and the City. Until certain events occurred. So I can see the vision.
I like a good callus. Like there's
Yes.
something about a working man's hands.
Oh yes, absolutely. 100%.
A good callus
We love the
makes
cat.
for a sweet treat.
I love that.
All right, what's your first book?
I think to begin with, I will go with a historical. I Historicals are
Mm,
always gonna be like number one in my heart. I read
hmm
basically every subgenre. This one, The Duke by Anna Cowan. It
okay.
was actually all of mine, and I read, it's weird because I read a lot of books that are anywhere from like the 80s to now, but this I
Yeah.
realized the top five that I was listing were like all 2026 releases for whatever reason.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, which I'm like good for 2026 because I often don't like a lot of things about this year. So but the Duke is really great. It is a sapphic historical set in like an alternate, yes, it's set in an alternate universe. I can't believe you haven't heard of this one. It is set in an alternate universe where all of the women who are noble women are eligible for titles. So the Duke is a woman named Kate.
Flawless. Flawless.
Yes, yes. But it has a very sort of like, you can tell that she's very familiar with old schools because it begins
Yeah.
with this French courtesan named Celine. She has a protector who is a man. And it is literally like set right around the Reign of Terror, which I wish more books were set
Oh.
around the Reign of Terror. Yeah, yeah. We need a lot more. I feel like in our current moment, we might start seeing a little bit more of that. Mostly because a lot of people are starting to wonder about the French Revolution a little bit more.
Like they're like interested. I am intrigued by the French's protest.
Yes, yes. And I'm like, I agree. Also, though, you need to learn about the Reign of Terror, to see what not to do on that light.
Like let's make sure like Robespierre does not make an appearance.
Yes, let's try to avoid that. But so her protector is like, she's pretty sure he's sort of in jeopardy, and he's like, a friend
Mm.
of mine, the Duke, Kate Howard, has come to visit me in England for mysterious reasons, and I need you to spend a night with. Like, he's basically like, I'm tra giving you to her for a night, and you don't really have like much of a choice. And Celine's like,
Mm.
and then she meets the Duke, and she's like, never mind, I'm really down for this. So she has this like insane night with the Duke, which is her first time with a woman, but she was always kind of intrigued. And
Hmm.
she wakes up and the Duke's like gone. And she's yes, and not only is the Duke gone, but immediately after, and she's pretty sure the Duke had something to do with it, her protector does get guillotined and she is in the streets, and you have like a 3 year time jump, and then you go to the Duke, and Kate is like very icy, very frigid, and Celine shows up and she's like, listen, you left me to die after blowing my mind. And I found the thing that you were there to talk to my protector about, which is a letter with proof that will destroy your entire life. And if you do not help me find a rich husband right now, I am going to tell everybody about this, and it will literally possibly send you to your death. And so that's where that's the premise of the book.
And then Kate says, "What if I'm the rich husband?"
Exactly. Yes. Right. Right. And she's like, well, it's so good because she's so like this. I cannot believe because she is so in control. She's not like a rakish duke. She's like a
Yeah.
stern, like, I got this shit together.
A stern brunch mommy.
Yes, a stern brunch mommy. Exactly. I hope her rakish cousin, who is a complete sloppy drunk, gets her book. But it is like a battle. They hate each other because she's like, I cannot. And it's also, she's so classist in such an old school way where she's like,
Mm.
I can't believe that this French wench who I fucked one
A
is
French wench.
French wench is getting one over on me. I cannot believe after my years of scheming and trauma that I'm being blackmailed by this hot, mean French lady. I am supposed to be the mean English lady. There should be no other mean ladies in charge. It is so good. It is extremely high stakes,
Yeah.
extremely high dark backstory, very gay. And of course, there are like, what I liked about it is that the men are like still misogynists, and that is a part of the stakes and the tension of the threat.
Yeah.
But the real tension and threat lies in like, will these people actually be able to like overcome how much they've wounded each other? You know?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
real angst book.
I feel like that's a good romance where like Like there has to be like it can't just be like us against the world. It has to be like a little bit like us against each other.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. And they're gay, so that's
And yeah, I don't even think Kate's definitely like supposed to be read as like pretty butch. And Celine, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure this was something I point this out not because, at all any problems with a lot of bisexual heroines. Totally love it, support it 100%.
Hmm.
But I think it is a little bit on the rare side, especially with sapphic historicals. Like they will often be like, I had this husband, I loved him, and I totally great. But this was like the rare sort of like book where they both were like ideally. Like I liked that Celine was like very mercenary. Like I would rather not be married to a man, but also
Hmm.
like that's the way that I get money. Like that is the way that I
Hmm.
get a title. Because that, and even in this fantasy world where like these women who are titled exist, I appreciate that recognition because there were so many historical women who like no, they were not bi. They were not physically attracted to their husbands. It was
Yeah.
purely something that they had to do and maybe they made the best of it. But you don't get that, I think, highlighted quite as much in historical romance. I mean, sapphic
Yeah.
historical is such a niche anyway, but like I just appreciated it. And I appreciated that Celine was so upfront, and
Yeah.
being like, this is work. And like, it's not the worst work ever, but like, it's work,
It's still
and
work, right?
yes. And that the marriage is also kind of sex work, you know?
Yeah. Like she's like, I'm doing this for the money. Like if I was independently wealthy, I would not be doing this.
Oh yeah. She's like, if it
Right.
was my choice, I would be with a woman. And so
Yeah.
it's also that level of like sort of, and it's mostly because there are so few noble women
Yeah.
who have titles in that society. They're kind of like, not really a point in you pursuing a woman. And also a woman is going to be like, what's her real? A woman's gonna be too smart to be
Yeah.
seduced by her,
Right.
She's
Right.
gonna look
So
into
much
it.
easier to manipulate.
Yes, yes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I know that there are some romance readers who are specifically seeking out more lesbian representation in the genre, and it
Yeah.
is lacking. So I would also call that out as one where they can find it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like they're like slowly but surely we're getting more sapphic contemporary. I feel like we're like
Oh
it's
yeah,
been ramping up like
yeah,
just in the last few years, but like sapphic historical, I feel like we're at a precipice.
yes, yes.
Okay, so the next book for me, this one is like kind of cheating, but also because it's like two books, but it's like a duology and like you have to read both books.
Yeah.
Like I originally was just gonna read the second book, and then like I realized like, oh no, you have to read like I have to read the first book too. So it's the Honey and Spice duology by Bolu Babalola. So
Mhm.
the first book is Honey and Spice, and the second book is Sweet Heat, and it's the same couple the whole time. So like the first Honey and Spice is like because I remember hearing about it. I remember like hearing people like liking it like a few years ago when it came out, but it's like new adult, like they're in college. So I was like, oh, I just don't think that's for me. But then like I really wanted to read Sweet Heat, which is when they're adults. So Honey and Spice is like they're in college, like they're both kind of like competing for like a fellowship, like they have to work together. Like she has a radio show. She's like one of those like hot college women with radio shows. She has a radio show where she like dunks on men and he like makes films and then like they like their advisor like is like you should work together to like make like some sort of documentary or whatever like a mutual project. And then they also, I forget exactly why, but they have to fake date because he's like a fuck boy. And she did go on her radio show because she saw him like sneaking out of a girl's room. She did go on her radio show and be like, "This guy's a fuck boy," and he's like, "Ouch!" Like we exchanged two words in the hallway. Like, why would you do that? So yeah, they fake date and then eventually, obviously, fall in love. And then Sweet Heat they like dated for like 5 to 6 years or whatever. They broke up because classic like he was working too much, like they like were growing apart and they didn't communicate TM. And so like this is like them coming back together once again, like working on a project together and like being the maid of honor and best man at their friend's wedding and like
Thanks.
re-falling in love. So
That's really bold. That's one that I haven't come across often is putting them together. And then, like, I've read duologies, but very rarely are they like actually broken up.
they're fully like it takes place in the UK, so like they're fully like she's in London and he's living in America. at the beginning of the second book. And like they haven't spoken and like they were like they're both like devastated, obviously like wrecked. And that one just like the writing is just like so punchy and I like really I mean I'm always recommending audiobooks, listener, like you know me. But this one especially I recommend the audiobooks because the writing is so like it feels kind of like a spoken word poetry but like complimentary. Like usually if I
Yeah,
call something spoken word poetry, it's not a
yeah.
compliment, but in this case it is. But that's how it like reads and the audiobook narrator like reads it like that. So
I've been wanting to read the first book for like a while. Like probably since it came out, but like, like that sort of bumps it up. I feel like that's just very bold and daring. I'm excited about that.
yeah, they broke up. Not it's not cheating or anything. Spoiler. It wasn't cheating.
Bummer.
Damn it.
Yeah.
She also recently, I think that author recently, Balula Balula, got married to like her own hero.
Aw.
Like I think the hero are kind of like inspired by like her relationship with her husband are like kind of the inspiration for this couple. So it was really cute.
Lovely. I love that. Well, I will take us in a very different direction, um, which is going to be The Wolf and the Crown of Blood by
Mm.
May. Yes.
Wait, who is it by?
Elizabeth May.
Elizabeth May. Okay.
Yes, who, interestingly, I want to make this note because I think it's fascinating. Elizabeth broke onto the scene with the Falconer trilogy, which I read years ago. It was during the YA fantasy boom, and it was like, a YA fantasy. She's like a fairy hunter, the main guy's a fairy. And I was just
Classic.
kind of like, yeah, classic. And I was like, I like this, but like it feels like a lot of YA fantasies did at the time. This should have been adult. Well, lo and behold, she originally wrote it as an adult romance, full romance, full open
Oh,
door
yeah.
everything. And the her book deal only came when she agreed to age it down, add a love triangle, all these make it less
Mhm.
romance. And so when she got the rights back, she rewrote the entire trilogy as her original vision and her as a grown author.
Amazing.
The Falconer trilogy, this isn't one of it, but I also read that and it is so cool. I think it's so awesome that she did that.
Yeah. I heard of that. I remember seeing an author being like, guess what, fuckers? Like,
Yes, she confirmed so much of what I suspected. I read a lot of YA
yeah.
fantasy novels during that boom, and I eventually stopped mostly because I was like, I wish this was adult. Like I sort of
Yeah.
aged out, and I was like, and lo and behold, she's kind of like a lot of us aged it down. A lot of us originally wrote like, what is
Yeah.
romantasy today? And so I'm so glad that she let The Wolf and the Crown of Blood out because it is just like her fully. It is, she's been very emphatic about, yes, it's a fantasy and like, yes, romantasy, but she's like, this
Yeah.
is a romance novel. It is
Hmm.
in a series, but each book is a standalone, like classic romance, less like a lot of romantasies, and there's nothing wrong with this, but a lot of romantasies do follow that one couple for like
Yeah.
7 books. And she's like, that's not, this is a standalone. So basically, this princess named Bryony, she is she and her family essentially hundreds of years ago they were a part of she was not there, but her family was in a war with the gods, and the part of the peace agreement was that these princesses and princes, everybody in the family, would essentially ritualistically sacrifice themselves and be
Oh,
revived. Yes, they would be revived. So she, every like 2 weeks or so, she essentially kills herself, and then is revived, and it is like a sacrifice. And so, in the very beginning of the book, she comes across this sort of mercenary, almost like imagine him being like the hitman of the gods, Evander, and she's like,
uh-huh.
if I ever, she makes sort of a deal with him, and she's like, if I ever am going to be killed, can you please make it like a good death? Like for if it's the for good one, I just want a
Yeah.
good death because she's had all these terrible deaths, and he's like, sure. Lo and
And then he
behold,
stabs her.
yeah, yeah, right, right. He's like crazy. He lo and behold, she's getting too popular. So the king god is like, she's sort of distracting from our gig. I need you. And the king god is so terrible. He's definitely getting a book, and I cannot wait. But he's like
Oh, like
Evander.
oh, he's gonna get a like a hero book.
Yes, he's gonna get a hero book. She's
Oh,
going
okay.
classic old school, where like the worst dude in the series. I'm like, it's gonna be so good.
A Lothair, like kind
Yes,
of.
yes. Except he
Yeah.
also at one point, just as like an intimidation thing before like the romance really starts, he also makes out with the hero of this book as sort of like it's not like a non-consensual thing, it's just kind of something that he does. And I was like, yes. Everybody,
Bisexual king.
yes, I think everybody in this, it's one of those like everybody's bi most likely in the world, and I love that. And
Classic.
so Yeah, so he orders her to be killed by Evander, and Evander goes there to kill her, and she's like, cool, but like I'm so angry. Like she's been getting screwed over by her family. She's full of rage, and she's like, before you do it, could I just like you're a god? Could I just like sort of slice you up a bit, stab you a bit? You don't. And he's like, sure. So she like gets on top of him. She's like straddling him and like her nightgown, and she's got a knife, and she just slashes him up a lot, and he's like, holy shit, this is like the horniest I've ever been. And so they don't have sex, but he's like, let's put a pin in me killing you. I'll do it later. like, like kidnapping occurs, like both
Oh
of them
my God.
absolutely balls to the wall insane. There's like a chase scene, there's some surprise virgin stuff, like which I love. I'm a big sucker for like when it's like they put it in and they're like, oh no, and she's like, get over it. Like just
Yeah, yeah, they're like, oh no, her maidenhead, which like insane. And
yeah.
then she's like, just put it in. And like, I love when she like grabs like the butt with like like their love handles and just like
Shoves them.
she
Yeah,
just
I love.
pulls him in all the way.
Yes, especially when they're like bad, like he is. He like has like his one moral moment of the book, and she's like, God damn it! Like the one time I need you to just be like a piece of shit. You're actually being like kind of nice. But it is angsty, it is kinky. There is like a lot of blood. There is just like a lot of it's also just like as much as it's very sexy, it is like because a hard sell with a lot of romanticies lately. Like I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like this just felt totally like a romance novel. This felt like it did feel actually, I think I compared in my review to Lothair because it did feel kind of
Hmm.
like, oh, this guy is like, I'm the biggest and baddest. And then he thinks he's kidnapping this woman. He thinks he's like got this under control. And she's like, I got you, motherfucker. Like she like
Yeah.
mind fucks him into submission.
Like you have to have that when it's like the worst guy in the world meets his match and then like is
Yes.
absolutely
Yes.
devastated by her. Like,
He's destroyed.
right? Like this girl's slashing him, Lothair, like Beth is like fucking cutting off his head.
Yes.
Like run posy run, like she escapes from him for like 2 months, like psychologically tortures him with like fictional OnlyFans. Like,
So good. Yeah, that's my big thing. If they're gonna be a villain, I'm totally fine with villains. I'm totally fine with
yeah.
villains with like virgins. I'm totally fine with all these types of things. I just need her to be game and to give as good as she gets.
Hmm.
If it's like an MF romance. And so
Yeah.
this book really gave me that. And I was so I am like craving. She also just does, it was so refreshing, honestly, to romantasy to be like, this is going to be the end of their story and they are going to be happily ever
Yeah.
after. And I can see her seeding the next couple and it all looks so good. And I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to not have a romantasy series that is just like dragging out the problems of the one couple for like I need it to be a little bit tighter. So
Yeah.
not that I don't love some of those, but a trilogy
No.
is usually my end game. Like I can't do
Yeah.
a trilogy.
I
So
think I think that like is my problem. I think that's the problem with the romantasy in general is that like there's not really like a set definition. It's just like anything with like romantic and fantastical elements.
yeah.
And like sometimes it's like romantasy is technically like romantic fantasy, like romance
Yes.
fantasy. So like it's technically like fantasy first, but
Yes.
it's used to talk also about like fantasy romance because like Phantom Man is like not as
It doesn't sound
good
as
a
good. That's
term.
literally it. That is like, I need people to, I've had so many people try to intellectually argue with me about that. And I'm like, listen, I'm not saying I'm queen marketer, but I am a marketer. That is like I am a marketing professional. I
Yeah.
can promise you it has nothing to do with anything intellectual. They saw the term was hooking. And so therefore they were like, this is
Yeah.
it. And then they were like, oh, great. We can put two types of books under one umbrella and y'all will all buy them. And
Yeah.
only now are people starting to realize when books are incorrectly marketed that it actually sucks because then you pick a book that is definitely fantasy with romantic tones, but it's sure not a romance.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well now you understand what like the romance community has been talking about for decades about why we get mad when things are labeled romance and they don't have happily ever afters.
Yes, yes. And I'm like, that's why, I use the term because I know people understand it. I know it's like, again, marketing. I don't judge any authors for using it. But
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, you guys, that door was opened, and now everything that I remember on Fated Mates when they were talking about it years ago, being like, this is gonna be really confusing. And now I think people are starting to realize maybe that'll help with the romanticy implosion, but not until this book series is done and Elizabeth May makes all of her money. So,
Hopefully. All right,
yeah,
I'll hold on for her because I have been like eagerly anticipating the decline of
I
fantasy.
know, I know. I get it.
I think they're just not because I think so many of them are like fantasy for you know what I mean. Like so many of
Yes,
them are don't give me like the romance tingles, and
yes,
so like that's why it's not for me. Like I've tried like there's so many times when I've tried to read like the big romantasy that's trending, and
yeah,
I'm just like it's not for me.
yeah. That's my only fantasy romance in these top five. So you're free
Yeah,
after this.
I don't have any of my top. I
Yeah,
don't know if
I
I've
knew
read a
she would.
few. I read oh what was it? It was Nisha Sharma. It was like a new adult and it's like based on Indian folklore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the only one that I finished and enjoyed. Illusions of Fire.
Oh, I've heard good things.
But I was like, so like when's the next book? And she's like, never, because the publisher, I guess her publisher hasn't picked it up. And I
No,
was like, boo.
God. I hate it's always the good ones.
I know. My next book is Starshipped by Kat
Oh yeah,
Sebastian,
yeah.
which for those of you like Spock Kirk shippers, this is for you. But it's like two stars of like basically like fictional Star Trek. Like a TV show, like an actual TV show, not like literally Star Trek. That play essentially Kirk and Spock, and like the Spock character, like I think he's like has anxiety and like OCD, and so like he's just like very standoffish, and like the other guy, the Kirk character, is was like a reality TV show star and like then like came over. So like they're very, one of them is like an actor and the other one is a reality TV show star who got this because he had like a big following. They're like rivals and like the Kirk character is always stealing the last like blueberry muffin from like the craft cart on set. And then the Spock character is like leaving the show. So they go on like one last like road trip to like see whether they become friends. And obviously, spoiler alert, listener, they don't become friends, they become more.
Shocking.
And Spock also has a like geriatric like Chihuahua dog.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I really liked that one. I read that one when it right before it came out. It's funny because I think like Spock and Kirk is definitely like her inspiration. I was so like Destiel coded. I think it's made
Mm,
me think about how much like Destiel took like from, like
yeah.
it's like the same like the one who just doesn't understand humanity and the one who's like I'm a lovable slut. Like that
Yeah.
sort of, like it really and the book is so I feel like the book is a really good commentary on like fandom culture too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so smart. Cat Sebastian.
Yeah. Cause there's constantly I think that's where you're right. Like that's where like the supernatural like TV
Yeah.
show elements because like everyone was shipping like the real actors too. And
Oh
so
yeah.
like there's like throughout the book like all these like excerpts from like a fandom Discord of them being like, oh, like, do we think they're together? And then there's always like one person who's like, let's not comment on people's real lives, like,
Me being like, stop it. Stop commenting.
like pull out the water,
Exactly.
the spray bottle.
Back on topic.
Anyway, what about the show? Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I was always that semi-annoying, but I still the incorrect person.
Yeah, right. Kat Sebastian just has such like an irreverent sense of humor. I originally like from the cover like thought it was going to be because she's been writing kind of like mid-century romance.
Yeah.
And so I thought this was going to be another one. So that's why like I literally thought it was like Kirk and Spock like she was pulling like a Taylor Jenkins Reid, like heavily inspired by real people kind of situation.
So did I actually. And like she released a mid-century, well, 1960s book that I almost put on this list. And now I'm glad I didn't because it would have been two Cat Sebastians and repetition.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Two Cat Sebastians. Like, she is that good.
That's true. Yeah. After Hours at Dooryard Books is also really good. It's very set in the
Mm,
60s. It is very like little, they definitely meant to call to our current times while also being like solidly a
mhm,
romance. Very angsty. One of my favorites so far
mm.
this year. So I'll throw that in there. But Cat Sebastian is just, I will read anything she writes. I've left a lot of cat books unread because I'm running out of backlists for a lot of my favorite authors, and I've just got to keep hers for a rainy day.
You gotta savor some. Yeah.
There's only so much joy you can get. So I'm like, you gotta enjoy that one. But yeah, definitely I back up the Starship Wreck. It's excellent. I've got another, and I'm like when with the ones that I actually had in paperback, I'm like, let me bring these in case I forget anything. Memory is crazy bad. Score by Kennedy Ryan, very recent,
Oh.
popular, excellent. So this book is about two of the characters from her book Real, which you don't have to read first, but I would recommend it because it's excellent.
Hmm.
Verity is a screenwriter, and Monk is whatever the title is, the composer of the score.
Oh, brunch.
That's score. And they are working on a movie together, and it is like you sort of get like much like in Real, you get the echoes because it is a biopic of the original love story the movie's about, and like they're the love story. And the thing is that they have a huge beef because in college they dated and it was amazing, like soulmate connection. Like they were both like, whoa, this is it. Even though rather delightfully, the first time they have sex in the book is she is Verity is bi and she has a girlfriend when they meet, but it's like kind of like open. And the first time they have sex is when her girlfriend is like, want to have a threesome. And so it is, yes, it is her. It is like her getting Eiffel Towered by her
Ah,
girlfriend. Him. Yes, yes. Her girlfriend breaks up the strap. It is excellent. And that is not there is pegging in this book. It is excellent as
oh,
well.
I love Peggy. Good.
Yes, right? It's like I was so excited because you don't see it in traditional romance a lot. Traditionally published romance a lot.
The thing is that you see it teased. Everyone always like makes references and jokes about pegging, but they're never brave enough.
Yes, and then the author's like newsletter exclusive, the pegging scene, and I'm like, I'm right there, but also like, man, I
Why
wish it had been
wasn't
the
this in
original
this
book.
book?
But yeah, they after all that, they when they were in college, they broke up, and it has to do with Verity has bipolar disorder, and so
Mm,
something happens when she's manic. They broke up, and he does not understand that is what happened. So
mm-hmm.
in when they reconnect when they're older, he's like, "Holy shit, I'm still so mad at her for what happened." And
Mm,
she's like, I love him so much. It's all this. And I have personal experiences with bipolar disorder. It is a very, I'm very picky about when
mm-hmm.
I'm reading books concerning that because I find that it is often something where it's like, it's used to sort of explain the character's bad behavior. It's used to sort of be like, it's like almost like a loophole. And I find that really offensive.
Yeah.
And there have only been like I think besides this maybe two books I've liked where it's been depicted, and this was just pick. You can tell she did her research and was so sensitive about it, and was like she's both so understanding of what Verity experiences and also understanding of like when Monk is not clued in to what's happening, he can
Mm-hmm.
only assume like he's not wrong for assuming the worst, and also even when he is clued in even though she is not fully responsible for like what happens, well, she is responsible, but like even though a manic
Yeah.
episode is a little out of her control, it still hurts, even when he knows that that's not her in her normal
Yeah.
sort of like balanced phase. It's still, I think it's very important if when you're bipolar to feel like you're not being talked down to in narratives. I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of narratives talk down to us. And so, this was just like, I think it was like really a triumphant book for her. I mean, it might be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just really grateful that somebody like her took something like that on because I think that a lot of authors and it's not, this isn't shade. Sometimes you need to understand that something is out of your lane and you're
Yeah.
the person to write about it. And I think
Yeah.
she takes everything that she writes about so seriously. And it really shows here, but it's also super hot. Like I said, there's pegging. Like it's And it's just such a full and complete story. And I really hope that she like I think she might have another book in this world. I would love for her to do
Mm.
it because Real was also so good. So that's
Yeah.
score 10 out of 10. Loved it.
Yeah. I've been waiting for it to come off hold at the library. I'll, I'll see you in 2 months.
Yeah,
When we can talk about that.
I made a pilgrimage to a romance bookstore that's kind of far away from me, and I was like, I wonder if they'll have any books that I want. Front and center, a bunch of signed copies of Score. I was like, this whole trip was worth it. Yeah, so I have
Right, exactly.
it.
Yeah. I have Leave and Come Back by Lavanya Lakshmi,
Mhm.
which just came out last week or like the week before. It's very recent. And this one is like, I think it very much straddles like women's fiction and romance, but like it definitely, I mean, like the plot does like center around the romance, but it's also about like grief and family. So it's like a woman who her parents died when she was a teenager and like she had to move from India to New Jersey, RIP, to live with her like aunt and like uncle and cousins. And then like they have become sort of estranged. Like she moved to Toronto, they're still in New Jersey, and then she has to come back. One of her cousins is getting married, so like she's coming back for the wedding because the other cousin, who was like her best friend slash like true like platonic soulmate, is like, if you don't come back, like I'm done with you forever. Because she didn't, the last time she didn't come back was when the uncle had a heart attack, and she didn't like come back at all for that. So like there's a lot of yeah. So she comes back for like the big Indian wedding. The day before, she like is offered this ultimatum by like the cousin who's not getting married. She like finally, in a friends to lover situation, like they finally kiss for the first time. Like they've like started a relationship. So like she goes to New Jersey and she's like, you can't come with me because she doesn't talk about her family. Her and her aunt, who's like her mother, her dead mom's sister, like the reason they're kind of estranged is because she feel like she was like the typical sort of like very like strict, like always in your business, always trying to like match make her with someone, like never talked about the parents. So she's like, I like wanted to grieve my parents, but like no one, like we just like acted like they didn't exist almost, except for like photos. So she goes back and then the boyfriend is like, oh, like I'm in the area, like I'm just gonna like stop by, and he like shows up and the aunt's like, who is this? And our heroine is like, oh my god, my aunt is not gonna approve of me having a white boyfriend. And she's like, I don't know who that is. And so like the groom is like, oh, this is my friend, like he's here. And then like the like new boyfriend, the hero, like ends up having to like stay at the wedding, and he's like staying with the groom who like he's just met, and like pretending like they're old friends. And they're basically like, it's like loosely like recreating the plot of like a classic Bollywood, which is called like
Oh,
it's DDBL or something, I forget. A Shah Rukh Khan like Bollywood like classic.
I'm
So
such
they're like,
a for his
yeah,
movies.
so they're like recreating like this to like make her aunt like the white boyfriend, so that like they can eventually like tell the truth. I mean, like it is about the romance, but like they're already in a relationship, and like they have like, there is like a breakup. She does like run through the airport to get to him, but like it's like not, like that isn't like the emotional crux of the story. Like the relationship is mostly kind of smooth sailing. Like they just kind of have to sneak around, and it's like more about like her reconnecting with her family.
I you kind of have me at Bollywood. Like I feel like any book that reference it, like I'm a big, I'm like, classic white girl. I love a Bollywood movie. But I really feel like that reminds me, when we were talking about it, that sort of balance between like the family drama and like this sort of established relationship. It
Yeah.
especially reminds me of the movie version of Crazy Rich Asians, where 100% the
Mm-hmm.
romantic core is great, but you
Yeah.
also have so much investment and also like family conflict with the partner, like I think that there is something very satisfying, I think, about books that place and I think older books, I think we're a little bit better at this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to see, I think, a lot of, especially contemporaries by people of color, I think,
Yeah.
place more emphasis on the family.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, I forget who it was. It might have been JC Lee who said something
Mm.
like, a lot of the tropes and contemporaries that a lot of you say are tired because they, it's like fake dating for expectations or family conflict or whatever. That's because they've been overdone for white people and a lot of sort of
Yeah.
like those family dynamics in a lot of white families. You don't have as many necessary, you don't have the same expectations, you don't have the same cultural conflicts, for like bringing this boyfriend home, but there's so much fresh stuff that can be mined that has not publishing obviously has not given enough attention
Yeah.
in like a book like this. And I kind of feel like we've been seeing more of it. Like it's definitely, I know this isn't a fake dating book, but it's definitely that has revived my interest in like fake dating and
Yeah.
this like what will my family think? Because I'm like here, like my family, I would be like, well, what does my family think? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. They will get over
Yeah.
it, But somebody else,
Right.
like somebody like this heroine they were talking about, there are different expectations, there are different rules, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that, but it creates different stakes. And I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, we were saying, like, white people, especially like Western white people, like American, Canadian said books, which is like the vast majority of English language romance novels, you know, we just don't have like white people. And of course there are, because I know there's probably one listener
Of
that's
course.
like, my family's super tight. It's exactly like that. Like, and yeah, I'm sure your family is, but in general, like, we don't have that like multi-generational household. Like, part of the
Exactly.
conflict in this book is that like one of her cousins, like the cousin that she's like the best friends with, like still lives at home, and like the aunt basically expected everyone to still live at home until they got married, and like the aunt is trying to like match make them, not in like a,
Yeah,
you
not
know,
in like an overbearing, but
historical
it's
romance way, but like, I think she's like, I would like you to marry like a nice Tamil boy who lives in the
yes,
area and has a good job. You know what I
yes,
mean? Like, and so there's like, yeah, there's just like different, and like the like boyfriend story is like his journey is like learning more about her culture that she's been kind of like divorced from, because like she really
yeah.
doesn't have that many like Indian friends in Toronto. And like that, yeah, that's just something that you're not getting
No, no, you're not.
right.
When it's like there's that constant sort of like a lot of, I think that there are a lot of contemporaries because like the publishing industry is overwhelmingly like cishet and white. You know what I mean? So I think there's just like I think what people, including myself, are a lot of what we're bored with is really just like that cishet white voice. That is what it
Yeah.
is. It's and people being able to rest on their laurels and churning those books out and not like looking for like other like not mining your own, history.
Right.
Like you're not looking to where like you're just doing the same thing over and over instead of digging
Yeah.
deep because you don't have to dig deep as much. Not to minimize, not saying that publishing is easy for people at
No.
all, but there's just a leg up, as we all
Yeah.
know, when
Yeah.
you're from a cishet and white perspective.
Yeah, and I do that just like you were saying with fake dating. Like, there are so many like I find it so difficult to like believe like
Yes.
why people are fake dating. Like, even like, the trailer for the Love Hypothesis movie just came out, and
Yes.
I love the Love Hypothesis, and
Yes.
I'm so excited for that movie. But it was like a criticism listener. That's one of like the very first episodes we did on this podcast, and you are like the whole time like, why the fuck is Adam in this?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, like there is, why are these people doing this? Like this, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yeah, like, and I think there are a lot of fake dating books where it just doesn't, you don't feel the need. But if you're coming from a perspective where, your mom is really like wanting you to get married soon because that's kind of the cultural expectation, and like, you might want to avoid talking to the matchmaker because you do not have the time. You know what I mean? Like, if
yeah,
that is where you're coming from, I'm like, yeah, I see why you would get a fake boyfriend then. Whereas like if you
yeah,
just don't want your friends to judge you at a wedding or something like that, I'm like, I've been sold. I love the love hypothesis, but like there
yeah,
just is a level to which like I have to turn my brain off a little bit on
yeah,
that level that I don't have if there is like an
yeah,
actual practical reason for you to have a fake boyfriend. You can see where like you just be like, I just want the noise to go away for a minute and like let everybody believe that I have this like hot boyfriend.
and yeah, and then you end up with a hot boyfriend. So actually, it was a success. If you think about it, your family was right. At
That's
the end.
usually kind of what they come to conclusion with too, is that they're kind of like, damn, my family was right. And I also love that because I don't think there's anything inherently our Western society judges like arranged marriages a lot and things like that. Obviously, things can always be abused and like bad situations can occur for sure. But I also have friends whose parents were like met in an arranged marriage and like they're beautifully happy 40 years later. You know what I mean? So it's just, I think that I also like a book where they'll be like, maybe mom had a point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean in this book like the aunt and the
Yeah.
uncle were an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Like the cousin that she's the best friends with like was in an like arranged engagement that she like asked for. And the only
Yeah.
reason like they're not married is because spoiler alert like the cousin's a lesbian and like
Yeah. Yeah.
realized she was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gay. Like I can't marry this perfectly nice man that like I'm still friends with, but you know." So,
Well, I love it. That's when I wanna dive into that one. That sounds great. I will take you in a very different direction now. I will
I feel
take
like
you.
we're very like
Yeah, we're very, which is good. Like I
jumping all over
always
the
need
place.
I always need a reminder of like what else is out there. I this one is Rears and Vices by E.M. Caro.
Mm.
It is self-published. It is so good.
Mm.
And it is about it is this it's a historical. Our hero is and it's set around it's pirate but like Canadian lakes. So
Okay.
here's the thing, because like thinking like the Great Lakes, those are like essentially almost like small
They're
oceans.
C's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're seas. So our hero, Everard, who I often want to call Everand because of the audiobook service, but he is Everard. He was a naval man, like really into the Navy.
Okay.
Some things happened that both messed with his career and also cost him like four fingers.
Ugh.
And yes, yes. And
It's
his
usually only one.
yes,
It's
you
usually
know,
like
right. And there's so many jokes in this book where they're like, so which hand was it? Was that like, did you really need that one? And he's like, shut the fuck
oh.
up.
Well,
But
what was it? Which one was it?
it's a spoilers. I'll tell you right now, he really does not need his own hand. But
Fair enough.
he he is on he and his friend slash former friends with benefits to RC, who is like the classic sort of over the top rake type. They are both in the Navy together, and essentially the on the ship they're like, we got a pirate. And who is this pirate? It is Vitali, aka Vitya, who years ago Everard sort of met at shore, and they had like this hot night together, this amazing connection.
Of course.
Yes. And so Everard perjures himself to be like, no, 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 no. He's not a pirate, and here's my reasons. But like, he knows he's going to be found out, and this will be like the cost of his career, possibly going to jail, being hanged. But he has to save this guy's life, and
Anything for that
so
dick.
anything for that dick. And so he ends up basically through a series of events. Vitya takes him, like, sort of kidnaps him onto his own ship, where he is a pirate, but for social justice purposes, he is like an anti-colonial pirate. Darcy is also there, and Vitya's like, the best solution I have for our circumstance is for us to get pirate married. Of
What
course.
else are you to do?
What
What
else are you
else
to
are you
do?
to do?
Yes, and it's a real thing. Pirates were essentially like they had a form of gay
Yeah.
marriage. It's legal. And so it is about that. It is like an arranged pirate marriage of convenience where they're like, we're sort of fake pirate married, but legally pirate married, and also we're having sex sometimes. And then there's the Darcy of it all, who's like, it's such a
Mm.
great dynamic because Vitya and Everard are like, rekindling this flame. But also, there's like a battle at one point. Like, this is just one example of many in which Darcy and Everard hook up. There's a battle,
Oh.
and Darcy, yeah, yeah, Everard and Vitya are sort of standing there, and Darcy runs up, and Everard's like, God damn it, like, I know what he's coming here for. And Vitya's like, what? And he's like, well, we kind of have a tradition where, like, when there's a battle, we might die, we like fuck right before it. And he's like,
Uh,
but I'm not going to do it if you're not okay with it. And Vitya's like, no, I'm okay with it. You should go do that. And so they do, and like, yeah, it's like the conflict. Everard's like, how does BT, is this like a real marriage? How does he feel about me? And Darcy's like, I know I am in love with you and have been in love with you for a while, and I don't really care that you're fucking him. That's totally fine. But like, my problem is Everard is so bad at feelings and expressing them, and Darcy's like, I just can't deal. Like he's just like, I cannot deal with like our relationship being this fucking thing where you won't say that you love me. And so it is a throuple triad romance. Like
love
everybody ends
it.
up together, happily ever after on the high lake seas. and on the high seas of the lakes. And there are also lesbian pirates. Hilariously, it is very obvious that it is a ship of lesbian pirates, but Everard spends the entire book being like, God, I really can't reveal myself to her. And she's like, I know what being gay is. And so, like that's how like emotionally out of I love an emotionally out of touch hero. And he's just like,
Yeah.
damn, how do I figure out my sea of emotions? And everybody else is like, polyamory is fine. You like saying your feelings is fine. You are good. So it is just pure adventure. It's really well done in terms of the history. The cover is amazing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also really excited because Ian Caro is doing a spin-off book of sorts that is
Okay.
going to be Darcy with another man, but it does not disrupt the happily ever after of this book because like
Ah.
it's you so rarely see this in most romances with a triad. It is closed and I love that. That's great. But this is going to be a little bit maybe more in some ways authentic to some people's experiences to where like
Mm-hmm.
yes they're in a triad and they love each other but like also when they say you can go love other people and I will be here loving you and like that's
Mm-hmm.
okay like I'm really excited to see a book to where like he does get another partner outside of that triad and the other two are like that's good that's cool like we love you. I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I think it's really different and something that romance could see. Like you see, like I think
Yeah.
romance needs a little bit more flexibility in that light.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. It's a really good book, and I think it's a really good direction for historicals to head in. So
Yeah.
those advices, love it.
Yeah. And I think that's also like the first time that I've heard where it's like a triad with like three men
Yeah, it's
instead
pretty
of
rare. Yeah,
like it's usually like a woman and two men. It's like, reverse harem without being reverse harem.
exactly. Yeah, and I love that. I love an MMF moment.
Right.
Love any configuration of triads that I can get. That is really good. I will do it. But it was like, yeah, especially in a historical setting,
Yeah.
that's something that you see a lot of. And really hot. It's also just very funny. Like at one
Yeah.
point, they were like a Vitya and Everard are about to have sex, and like they're trying to. It's a ship is so like the quarters are so close and like
Mm-hmm.
essentially puts him on like an iron, they call it an iron carriage, but the point is that it rolls. And so like it's like he's like, okay, like I guess it sort of helps and also is like, well, it's just very and like one will be blowing the other and then they'll hear a cannon and be like like start choking because like they're like, oh no, like there's so much where they're like having sex and being like, God, we gotta go be pirates.
Fuck.
It's really good. And there is like a lot of emotional stuff to it as well, but
Yeah.
it's a fun romp with a heart. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Pirates on the Great Lakes. Okay, my last book is The Last Lady B by Eloisa James,
Mm.
which is I describe it as like a woman unfortunately discovered that like marrying for money does have consequences. So she like marries this old guy who she thinks is like, harmless and like is very much like very transparently like I married you for his money. So like she meets this guy's solicitor like up at his Scottish castle and the solicitor's like, you just married him for money, you're a mercenary. And she's like, and
Yeah.
she's like, what's your point? And again, I'm hot and he married me because I'm hot, so
Yeah.
what's the prob? And then obviously she falls in love with the solicitor and like her husband turns out that like he took her to this castle so that they can hang with like his mistress. And she's like, well, what the fuck? There's also maybe a ghost. There's ghosts at this castle. It's like very like gothic, like haunted, but it's also in first person, which is like unheard of for
Mhm.
historical. And I really like, I mean, I think like Eloise James has like a really like irreverent kind of like voicey voice. So really interesting to like read first person from her. So I liked it for like the swing it took.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of historical authors recently be like, that's you gotta take that. I mean, the historical struggling right now in trad pubs. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think Joanna Shupe published several novellas in first person before The Gilded Heiress, her last book, was her
Yeah.
first trad pub first person. I'm pretty sure her next book is going to be
Mm-hmm.
first person as well. And like, I'm all
Mm-hmm.
for it. As long I am third person is my favorite for any genre personally,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not very picky about tenses and POVs.
Yeah.
I'm very much like if you can sell me on it, which Eloisa James is like very much a master of her craft. So I feel like
Right.
if anybody can just sell either one and sell those
Yeah.
ones. I
Yeah.
love the gothic vibes that we're starting to get from historicals.
Yeah. Yeah. That was something that I talked about her when I had her on the podcast like a few months ago. Like the fact that that's a gothic, like it's a first person historical, like the is this how we revive historicals, basically?
I really suspect like I love the gothic wave. A lot of my recent favorites have been sort of like gothic flavored, but like I I think it might be where they need to go. I mean, I was already kind of feeling like when it started to slump that like because I
Mm-hmm.
noticed a lot of dark romance readers were reading really old school, dub con historicals and like really loving them. And I was kind of like, guys,
Yeah.
this we might need to try throwing it back a little bit. You know what I mean? But with
Did we
like
take consent too far?
we shouldn't send too far. But like I think that if we could marry the sort of thoughtfulness and also the much needed diversity of more recent historical
Yeah.
authors, like if an Adriana Herrera wanted to do her spin on a gothic, I would like probably like
Yes.
I would ascend, and just and like it's not gonna be for everybody, so I'm not saying that
Yeah.
they must, but like there is just sort of, I feel like, in a way, like, and I hope that Eloisa James sort of doing this sort of spin and
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging like the mercenary level of like the marriage and like the sort of uncomfy parts of historical romance.
Yeah.
I hope that that kind of thing sort of gives rise to like historical authors feeling like they don't need to soften the books for a contemporary audience,
Mm-hmm.
but perhaps court an audience that is more ready to meet them where they are, which
Yeah.
I think maybe dark romance and some romantasy readers might be a little bit more ready than I think a lot of the lighthearted contemporary readers that
Yeah.
historicals were sort of chasing for a minute after Bridgerton. I think
Yeah.
that might be their audience. So I'm hoping that like that's sort of what she's getting into.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing is I think like the thing that a lot of romantasy readers like, and I mean like the romantasy readers that like are reading for the romance
Yes.
is those like that high stakes, heightened emotion, like and I've been saying like for years at this point, like if you like that, read historic right. It's like a natural successor, like
Yeah, it's so influenced. Most of them are basically in a European historical setting anyways. Like,
right, like it's just there's magic sometimes. Like, okay,
yes.
but
Yes.
like I mean, I don't know if you have an opinion on it, like as from like a marketing perspective, but like I'm like still like I don't understand like how publishers haven't caught on to that, haven't figured how someone hasn't figured out a way to get the romantasy readers to go to historical. Like it's just I feel I don't have the skill set for that, but I
No.
feel like there's a thread there.
It is totally a thread. And like I think it's less that they're incapable of doing it and more than this is not whenever I criticize marketing with publishing, I wish I could like add a caveat every time to be like, it's not the people working on the marketing
Yeah.
team. Because there's probably like in a lot of publishing houses, I suspect there's probably like five people and
Yeah.
they're stretched thin and
Yeah.
they are given a budget, right? So like they only have what they can spend on it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they really are trying. Like I've seen some of the lovely women at Forever have made those connections
Hmm.
between historical and fantasy like as much as they can. And like I think that I think that it's like a just the problem with the marketing and a lot of trad pub in general is like they don't
Hmm.
that's an effort. And like the guides and the C-suites don't want to spend money or time on it,
Yeah.
even though I don't even think it's that big an effort. But Elizabeth May, who wrote The Wolf and the Crown of Blood, has also written historicals. Like
Hmm.
it's very much coming from a historical informed perspective. And like I think that if Eloisa James ever wanted to write like an India Holton type book, she could do that, with her eyes closed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Eloisa James's tone is already so whimsical and like fantastical in a way
Yeah.
that a lot of these historical authors, I'm like, yeah, they can absolutely do it. It's just like also unfortunate that the romantasy market is like getting saturated right at the point when I think a lot of historical authors are like, do I need to pivot?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like yeah. I mean, that's why like I've been predicting like the the downturn of romantasy. Like I think we're reaching we're reaching a point. We're reaching a saturation point.
I think Gothic's going to take over. I think, and which will
Yeah.
be very romantic flavored because there's magic in a lot of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, historical romance can get its licks in, but I think this sort of Thornchapel-y, like because think about it, it's the perfect convergence. You've got the romantasy and you've got the dark romance, and it's all there, and like there's a preset language.
And there's the paranormal elements because like horror's also having a
Oh
moment,
yeah, horror's having a
you
moment.
know.
Here's the
So
horror
like,
romance, right?
right, yeah, like everyone, like India Holton's writing a horror romance,
Yeah,
like has
yeah.
one coming out. I will probably not read it because I am scared of
Oh,
everything.
I'll read it for you.
But okay, let me know how scary it is.
Yeah, I don't think India Holton's gonna get us too bad. She knows her audience,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it'll be interesting. I have a lot of yeah, I have a lot of struggles with the term horror romance, both in that I don't know that there's like a lot of other good terminology for it, and when I see like
hmm,
Jen Prokop be like, "That is contradictory," I'm like, "You're not wrong."
yeah.
So
But also, like I've said it before, like horror and romance are two sides of the same coin.
oh yes,
So like they are like opposites, but they're also like you know what I mean? There's like a deep through line between them, like in terms of how like visceral they are and how much they like dig into human emotion.
yes, I'm a huge horror movie fan. I haven't read as many books in that genre yet, but like I'm a big fan, and so but it is like there it's the exact same feeling. I get the
Yeah.
same level of like intense rush from a really good
Mm.
romance novel as I do with a really good horror movie. And a lot of times horror does Crimson Peak, directed by Guillermo del Toro, is a gothic
Mm.
horror romance movie. And there's a line that I always think of when I think of this comparison, which is, it was something like the horrors were for love. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the intersection. I need to read that Eloisa James book. I really want to see, I'm very interested to see her sort of go, especially
Yeah.
when it's like somebody like her who's like, I feel like a very iconic author of her
Hmm.
like historical romance generation, seeing her go in a different direction, I really admire that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate like that boldness. I felt the same way when Sarah McLean let out that contemporary, These Summer
Yeah.
Storms.
Yeah. But it did also like especially the Sarah McLean like Sarah McLean's coming out with another contemporary, like she's already said she's working on the next one, but like on one hand I'm like I really enjoyed these summer storms, like I'm really excited for her next contemporary, but there is also like that kernel of sadness
Yeah.
because you're like I know she's doing it in part because her romance sales aren't her like historical romance sales aren't what they used to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I know she's gonna let out Duchess, and I do believe if there's anybody where I'm like there are authors, and this is no shade, but there are authors where if they say like I'm never leaving historical, I'm like, but you might have to.
Right.
With Sarah, I'm like, I think she'll always make time for it, but it might have to look a little different. It might
Yeah.
have to, who knows? And hopefully historical revives in a non-weird way, because I always have this fear that it'll revive, but it's gonna be like in service of the trad wife movement. And I cannot have that, but I could see I'm a little worried sometimes where I'm like, is that how publishing? None of our authors that we love would be for it, but
No.
we'll see.
I mean,
But
there's always been that element of historical, right? Like there's,
which I think is part of why they're struggling, because I think that became the stereotype of the historical, in part because of those very loud readers who, if you go into some historical romance spaces, it can be very like a negative experience because you're like,
hmm
I can't tell you how many historical readers I have like tried to converse with who've been like, I just want to have more books where like she does what a proper wife would do and embroiders and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, that's never what the genre was originally. Like the entire point was that they went on a grand adventure.
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like the whole point was that they didn't do that
Yes.
and that they found a man who was willing to
Yeah.
not let that to like let them be more than that.
Yes. Until like
Not that there's anything wrong with like being a homemaker and like
yes, of
being a
course.
stay-at-home mom, like if that's genuinely what you want.
It's
But
genuinely your
like,
choice. And you also have
right,
other options.
right, you should always have the option to pivot
Yes.
in either direction.
Have the ability to get a job always.
Right.
So that treaties aside,
What's your
my
last book?
Yes, my last book is not historical. It's contemporary, The Paris Match by Kate Claiborne.
Oh, yeah.
I just felt so. I didn't even, I'll be completely honest, no offense to any potential listeners who are from Paris or in Paris. I have been to Paris and I was not even that like transported, but this book made me go, I need to be in Paris right now. And I have a paperback copy. So basically, Layla is something that I want to see more of in romance, divorced. And she has, when I explained this to a friend of mine who happens to be divorced, she was like, Caroline, that is like the most absolutely emotionally torturous thing I've ever heard of. It is like insane. Basically, Layla got divorced and she's like, it's very amicable. It's very like t chill,
Yeah.
cool. But she stayed close to her ex's family on some degree,
Yeah.
enough to where her ex's little sister invites her to her like week-long Parisian wedding. And so
Yeah.
Layla goes there. She has like the typical sort of like evening, before it's not the night before the wedding, but the night before the festivities begin. And she doesn't even know what she mentions really to the bride. And the next day, the bride's like, who's like this sort of younger woman who's getting married to like a somewhat like maybe 10 years older man. And she's like, I can't do this. She's like, I can't get married. And Layla's like, well, what the fuck did I say? And it was one of those things where it was innocuous, but it means a lot.
Right. But it only means a lot, like, because the bride chose to make it be,
But the
you know?
bride
Yeah.
shows, yeah, it clicked with something in her brain. And
Yeah.
so basically, Layla's like, well, shit, I don't know what I should do. I don't know if I should just like let her. A sane person would say maybe she's right if she's having these like doubts. But the best man, Griffin, who has been surly and taciturn this entire time, which means he's like stupid hot.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Always. He's like, this wedding has to happen. And she's like, weird for the best man to be this invested. He has his reasons and you don't know them immediately. But he basically like strong arms her into being like, we have to make sure this wedding happens for the next week. We are going to like set these two up in the best possible, falling in love again, sort of like everything will be fine. Because the groom knows that the bride's freaking out. So he's also like, shit. But they're trying to like
Right.
set these two up to sort of come back together and commit while none of the guests know that all this is going on. And then, of course, as all this is happening, Layla and Griffin start falling in this very sort of like it's like such a Kate Claiborne writes beautifully. Her writing is stunning and it is so emotional and like her sex scenes aren't even like as explicit as some others that I read, but
No, they're.
they're kind of tame, but it feels so explicit because it's so
Mhm.
romantic. It has one of the best lines I've read in romance in a while, like a single line of dialogue that I was just like, I remember reading it and I went, like, I was just like, I had to put the book down because I was like, I cannot believe she just like wrote that line and it hit me so hard. But yeah, I think it's like it perfectly captures the feeling of traveling and being like a different person when you're in a different country. It captures like I guess it's a very like much it reads like people in their 30s. It reads like people
Mhm.
who've been around the block and had like bad experiences.
Mhm.
And it's like a very like I would say, despite all these practicalities, it's like a hopelessly romantic book. And I absolutely loved it. It's my favorite Kate Claiborne so far. I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're kind of like me. I love to travel a lot and this, everything that's been happening, everything is much more expensive. And so I'm kind of like, what's worth it? What's amazing? What's like a once in a life? Like this is like the perfect vicarious like summer read, you know?
Yeah. Like, I
So
want to go to Paris, but specifically, like, with Kate Claiborne. Like, I want Kate Claiborne to take me to Paris.
you should do one of those trips that they do where like they get like the an author to sort of like
Yeah.
lead you. I would have Kate Claiborne. She'd probably hate it. I would have Kate Claiborne lead
Yeah,
me
I'm
around.
pretty sure Kate Claiborne is like avowed introvert, so
Yeah,
like
I feel
probably
like
not.
Kate Claiborne, you can like go off and do whatever you want, and on occasion show up and just like direct us with one sentence, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's
Just
great.
like tell me where to go.
Tell me where to go. You go where you want to go. Just tell me where to go, and it'll be great.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Also, I just love, and like I feel like a lot of romance heroes lately have been like, and I love some of them, right? But some of them
Hmm.
have been very like, I don't have problems, and I'm here to help you fix yours, and I'm
Yeah.
just a ray of sunshine, and I'm like, oh, I want to punch him in the face. Griff is like, I have pain, both emotional and physical, and I'm not going to expand upon it, but I am going to push you against a wall and make out with you real quick and like confuse you. I'm like, that's hot. I love it. It's very Matthew McFadden's version of Mr. Darcy, where you're like,
Yeah.
is he mean or is he just having a constant anxiety
Yeah, is he
attack?
just socially awkward?
Yes, is he just socially awkward?
No, I know what you mean about like heroes being like too perfect. It's funny because the boyfriend in Leave and Come Back, like
Mhm.
his mom's a therapist. So
Yeah.
like at least there's an in-universe reason why he's like so emotionally well adjusted. But like that didn't annoy me because like, you know, he's constantly like getting into all these like hijinks because like as a culture clash. But like yeah, it's funny like in the hands of the right author, like either scenario can work. But yeah, I think like so many authors are just like afraid. I mean, that comes back to like what we were saying about historical romance. Like
Mhm.
authors are just afraid to like write flawed characters because there's no nuance on the internet anymore.
Yes, yes. And publishers, I think, are probably encouraging the lack of, I think they're like, let's make this easy and digestible and quick. And I'm like, that's not what I want. I want to like have something that makes me like, I want to, I'm trying to come up with something that's not, I want to choke on it. But like, that is basically like, that is it. Like, I'm just like, I want to be like, I want your book to be so substantial, so girthy that I just can't even, like that's where
I want to be sheathed.
yes, she's like I think there's a lot of and that's what I think that's why I was a little bit surprised when I was like all of these are 2026s and like I have been reading a lot of new
Mm-hmm.
releases this year, but like
Mm-hmm.
these books it makes me happy though because I feel like sometimes I can be a little bit like where's the genre going? What are we gonna do? But like these books were just like they hit me just as hard as any book would have like,
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago.
All right, listener. I hope one of those books struck your fancy. I hope one of them keeps you up all night reading. Thank you so much for listening. You can find the podcast at We Read It at Night, wherever, or email we read it at night at gmail.com if you have a book or an author or a topic that you want on. And support the podcast by buying coffee or purchasing at bookshop.org. All these books are going to be on bookshop.org. And checking out the Etsy shop. And you can follow me at the Allison Finch, and you can follow Caro at
Difficult Woman Reads on Instagram.
Phenomenal. All right. Godspeed, comrades.
Bye.